All right, let's talk about one of the most direct, but also one of the most demanding ways to get a U.S. green card, the EB-5 investor program. It's a system that's literally designed to turn a major investment into permanent residency. So how on earth does that actually work? Let's dive in. It sounds a little too good to be true, doesn't it? A U.S. green card, just for making an investment? Well, the short answer is yes, it's a real thing. But the process is anything but simple. This is a journey that's going to require a lot of capital, a ton of patience, and some seriously meticulous prep work. So, here's the game plan for today. First, we're going to cover the basics, what the program is all about. Then, we'll hit the 3 core requirements you absolutely have to meet. After that, we get into the real-world stuff, the hidden hurdles. But don't worry, we'll also give you a success toolkit, and we'll wrap up by helping you figure out if this high-stakes path is really the right one for you. Okay, let's start at square one. The EB-5 program isn't some new idea. It's been around since 1990, and its mission has always been pretty straightforward: to get foreign investors to pump money into the U.S. economy, and, in the process, create jobs for Americans. So what is it, officially? Think of it as a direct trade. An investor provides capital for a U.S. business, and in exchange, they get a path to a green card. The whole thing is run by U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, or USCIS. And the deal is, you have to fund a business, and this is the really crucial part, you have to create jobs for American workers. Now, you've got 2 main ways you can go about this. The first is a direct investment. That means you are in the driver's seat. You're hands-on, managing the company, hiring people directly. But the second option, the regional center route, is way more common. Here, you're a passive investor in a much larger project. And here's the kicker. The way they count the jobs is way more flexible. They can count direct employees, indirect jobs, the whole shebang. That simplicity is exactly why most people choose this path. Whichever path you pick, your success really comes down to nailing 3 non-negotiable pillars. Seriously, think of these as the foundation of your entire case. If you get even one of them wrong, the whole thing can just get thrown out. First up, the money. The minimum investment amount totally depends on where that money goes. If your investment is in what's called a targeted employment area, or a TEA, which is basically a rural spot or an area with high unemployment, the minimum is $800,000. Anywhere else, that number jumps to over $1 million. So as you can probably guess, most of these projects are set up to be in a TEA. The second pillar is all about job creation. Your investment has to create at least 10 full-time jobs, and they mean full-time, 35 hours a week or more. These jobs have to be for qualifying U.S. workers, which means U.S. citizens or current green card holders. To be crystal clear, that doesn't include you or your spouse or your kids. And pillar number 3, this is often the biggest headache of all: proving where your funds came from. USCIS is going to put every single dollar under a microscope. You have to provide a massive paper trail that proves your investment money is clean, whether it came from your salary, selling a house, an inheritance, or even a gift or a loan. It all has to be documented perfectly. Now, this is so important to understand. This is not just a fee you pay for a visa. It is a real investment. This quote right here from the federal rules says it all. Your money has to be truly at risk. That means there has to be a real possibility of both making money and losing money. So if you ever see a project that guarantees you'll get your investment back, that's a huge red flag and a big violation of the rules. Okay, so let's say you've got the 3 core requirements locked down. Well, that's just the starting line, my friend, not the finish line. Now we have to talk about the real-world hurdles, the things that can make this a very, very long journey. This timeline really shows why you need to be patient. It all starts when you file your first petition, the I-526E. Just getting that one form approved can take 2 to 4 years. But if you're from a country with high demand like China, India, or Vietnam, you can get stuck in a visa backlog for years more because of the annual country caps. So from the very beginning to the very end, when you finally file to get the conditions removed from your green card, it's not at all crazy for this whole process to take a decade, sometimes even longer. And it's not just the waiting game. You're also dealing with things like currency exchange risk, a super complex tax situation in 2 different countries, and, the very real risk that the business project itself could just fail, putting your investment and your visa in jeopardy. Plus, that final I-829 petition, years down the road, requires a whole new round of intense paperwork to prove you held up your end of the bargain. Look, I know hearing about all those hurdles can feel a bit overwhelming, but success is totally possible if you have the right strategy. So let's pivot from the problems to the solutions. Let's talk about a practical toolkit for anyone thinking about this. The experts all seem to agree on 4 key steps. Number 1, you need a securities attorney, not just an immigration lawyer. Why? Because this is a complex financial deal. 2, you have to get your expectations straight. The green card is the main return on your investment here. 3, do your homework on the project. Look for regional centers that have a solid track record of getting I-89 approvals. That's proof they've successfully guided other investors all the way to the finish line. And 4, start building that financial paper trail from day 1. This quote, it perfectly sums up the mindset you need when you're documenting where your money came from. You have to be ready for what is essentially a full-blown audit of your entire financial life. Every account, every sale, every gift, it all needs a clear paper trail. The more organized you are upfront, the less pain you'll feel later. And just to really hammer home that point about expectations, take a look at this. The financial returns on most EB-5 projects are tiny. We're talking maybe 1 or 2% a year, and that's not even guaranteed. When you stack that up against other kinds of investments, it's obvious, right? You are not doing this for the financial ROI. You're doing this for the green card. So we've gone over the what, the how, and all the things to watch out for. And that brings us to the final and really the most important question. Is this incredibly demanding, super long-term commitment actually the right move for you and your family? If there's one thing you should take away from all this, it's this. Success in the EB-5 program isn't really about how much money you have. It's about how diligent you are. It's about the quality of the project you pick, the expertise of your legal and financial team, and just how thorough you are in your own preparation. That's what really separates the successes from the failures. And that leaves us with the one question that really gets to the heart of the entire EB-5 program. You're putting a massive amount of your capital at real risk, for a decade or possibly longer, for a very small financial return, all for a U.S. green card. And the only person who can really answer this question is you. Is that reward truly worth that risk?